Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I have to go back to work here in a few minutes because I'm on my lunch break currently. I'm going to get right into this, but first let me add just a few thoughts about this channel. I did upload a short video yesterday, a reaction video, in which I was reacting to the Daily Wire's release of their new film, Lady Ballers. And I received quite a bit of feedback and many more reviews. And maybe it's because my show is so short. Maybe it's just because it was a trending topic at the time. If so, that might mean that I should cover more trending topics. To clickbait all of you into clicking around and finding out. No, I don't want to be too disingenuous, especially when it comes to covering drama. This particular show is going to be about drama. I will keep it short as well, just in case that helps the algorithm a bit. And also, because, like I said, I gotta go pronto. But yeah, I do have some thoughts on this, despite not typically tending to get into any more drama than I have to. I like to focus on the nuts and bolts of politics more so if I can, but sometimes it's almost easier to cover something so simple. Should I call this subject simple? This topic? Well, you can decide for yourself. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what you know. I'm going to be discussing the latest drama, courtesy of Melania Trump. That's right. She wore a gray outfit of sorts to the funeral service, the memorial service of the former First Lady, wife of Jimmy Carter. I'm referring to Rosalynn Carter, of course. And for the date of her death, here you go. November 19. And yeah, that's all I want to say about that. My condolences to her and hers, or at least to hers. Condolences won't do her any good at this point. But yeah, whether you're a fan of the Carters or Democrats in general, that's another discussion. I don't want to disparage the deceased in any way whatsoever. So I guess in that sense it is better that I focus on the drama. Don't want to dramatize the dead, so to speak. But as for Jimmy Carter, who is somehow still alive, Jimmy Carter, 99 years of age, arrives to say goodbye to beloved wife Rosalynn. Former president joined by Biden's Melania Trump and Michelle Obama at Georgia church for a funeral service. Rosalynn. Might have pronounced it wrong earlier. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong on anything I may say. And as I always say, feel free to disagree with me. Like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride as well. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications. But back into this. Breaking, former President Jimmy Carter arrives at Glenn Memorial Church at Emory University to attend the tribute service for his late wife and former First Lady Rosalynn Carter. Props to him for not calling it in. I mean, it's his wife. So, I imagine he wants to do anything within his power to show up, as would I. But yeah, he has been through a lot, been under the care of hospice, so props to him for, well, propping himself up, though he was more so being propped up. And here you see the front row of attendees, including Melania Trump. She stands out, in case you can't tell. Not necessarily in comparison to the rest of the room. I see a white shirt behind her, a few rows back. I see some gray over here. You look around and you see some different colors. But generally speaking, you're going to see a lot of black at a funeral. And because she didn't wear black, and the track Back in Black was not playing in the background, well, it has become controversial. Okay, former President Jimmy Carter arrives at a funeral for his wife, Rosalynn. Here he is, outdoors, in his wheelchair once again. Okay, and a brief breakdown from Simon Atiba. In case you missed it, Melania Trump is facing harsh criticism from the left. They claim that she wore a gray coat to Rosalynn Carter's funeral, while other first ladies wore black, which is considered the appropriate color, typically. My take, I'm just wondering why all the attacks. Melania took the time to show respect to the late former First Lady by not wearing bright colors. Again, I'm no expert in this, but the attacks seem a bit misplaced. If there's any cultural aspect to this, considering how she's not initially from the United States, well, you let me know that as well, because I'm not the international superstar that I sometimes seem to be. I'm just kidding. I'm not sure what I seem to be at this point. Probably just nobody. Nobody with an opinion. But everybody has an opinion, so there's that. In addition, I believe she rightly advised her husband not to start a new war for 4 years and deserves some credit. Yada, 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 bing, bing, boom. Not really sure what that has to do with this, but ask Simon Atiba on that. A White House press briefing room, a reporter who never gets a question in. Thanks to Karine Jean-Pierre not liking him. Actually, I don't know if he's still in the room. Yeah, I don't know if he's still there. I know there were some disagreements, to say the least, between the two of them. I don't know if he's still allowed in there as a reporter. He finishes it off by saying this. But again, I'm no expert on how first ladies should have to dress or behave. Yeah. So, I'm not either. All I can do is speculate, just as he did. I do question why it's such a big deal. If it was any one of the other women, it would not be a big deal. Although then again, it could be Republicans who are then attacking, saying the Democrat was disrespectful or something like that. But because it was Melania Trump, it's the Democrats attacking. All right, so a few more posts before I finish this off with a brief breakdown. Someone by the name of Ryan Sheed said, "Dear Melania, next funeral, just stay home. Your attention-seeking is classless and not wanted. Everyone else wore black and dark blue, or black or dark blue. And that's protocol, is it? So it's like an unspoken rule, or a spoken rule maybe. If you didn't, your stylist did. I wish we could send you back to Yugoslavia." Oh. So imagine if Donald Trump had said something like that. It would be considered racist and xenophobic, among many other things. Bigoted overall, I wish we could send you back, so on and so forth. But because it's Melania Trump and this guy hates anyone with the last name Trump, it's okay for him to say, "I wish we could send you back to Yugoslavia." Also, he refers to a protocol. I don't know about you, but I have worn colors other than black to funerals. Various funerals. In fact, I haven't been on the front row of those. Some of those funerals, services, etc., were somewhat unorthodox. It's more standing around than sitting around in a row in a pew. But in her case, yeah, she was up front, and I guess she could have thought a little more deeply about what the coverage was going to be, because she's never going to be covered fairly. She just isn't, considering, once again, how her last name is Donald Trump. And you can see the other individuals. Hillary Clinton in the back there, Laura Bush, Michelle Obama. And no, I'm not going to call her Mike Obama. Have fun. Have fun with that. Run with it in the comments below. I'm trying to be more welcoming to comments. So I say less, you say more, and then I respond to everyone I can possibly respond to. But I guess I could backtrack a little bit and share a response to Ryan Sheed. I mean, therefore I am said, Dear Orion, next time you see Melania, don't comment. Your attention-seeking is classless and not wanted. Everyone who is not a complete moron and learns geography knows that Melania is from Slovakia, the Central European country that even doesn't have borders with Yugoslavia. That is true, actually. See, good thing I read this, because I don't know that I would have even provided a proper fact check there. But he says, I wish we could send you back your father's testicles. To your father's testicles. Oh, sorry, I read that. You know what? Sometimes it's a good thing to keep on reading, and sometimes it's not. But it would be even worse if he had said, I wish we could send you back your father's testicles. That would be weirder than sending you back to your father's testicles. I digress. Well, he digresses. I mean, therefore I am has digressed. Have fun with that as well. I just work here. I'm just the messenger. Don't hate me. But yeah, I tend to agree with I mean, therefore I am, except for on the wording there at the end. So from Ultra Pepe Lives Matter. Ultra Pepe Lives Matter. All right. No coincidence that the light shines on Melania Trump as the rest of the old guard wears dark black. These decrepit actors' times are coming to an end. Have faith. We are going from dark to light. Okay, so in other words, everyone in this picture who is wearing black is a decrepit actor. Do you then translate that to any funeral, like ever? Like everyone who ever wears black to a funeral is a decrepit actor? Or are you just saying that because Melania Trump happened to be there wearing a color other than black? It's like everyone is taking this and running with it to the furthest extremes, and it's annoying. I try my best not to do that. I try to be as nuanced as possible, although I hate that word. But yeah, this is a little bit ridiculous. And I can't help but notice that the man wearing white a few rows back is actually cropped out in this photo. I wonder if that was intentional. I just wonder. I'm only speculating. Don't want to question anyone's intentions too much. But you seem to be calling out the protocol overall. So if what you're saying is that no one from here on out should ever wear gray or a lighter shade than black at a funeral, then I guess we're going to have to establish a new protocol in order to shed a little more light on the world, this dark world we're living in. And I agree that it is a dark world, which is why I'm trying to keep it light. Bridget Gabriel says, I stand with First Lady Melania Trump. The fake news media has no class. You've already seen this photo, essentially. Another version of it. Also, a post from Bridget Gabriel. Melania Trump is the best First Lady in this picture, and it's not close. Well, I'm not going to say I disagree with you because I don't like any of them. But I'm not going to also extend that to say that she was some kind of superstar in her own right. I mean, she just kind of existed. She did what was due of her. And that was that. And now we don't see much of her. So even if we want to argue that she's a superstar, she's not doing a lot of shining because she's not really around to be seen. And of course, Democrats will turn that into a discussion about her being suppressed by Donald Trump, and therefore she's not allowed to shine, which they also simultaneously argue is impossible since she is a Trump and therefore can never shine. Breaking this down for you. From Chadwick Moore, liberal journalists are mocking Melania for the black and white coat she wore to Rosalynn Carter's funeral. Here's Hillary Clinton's black and white coat at Barbara Bush's funeral. Okay, so balancing this out a bit. I call it gray, but it's black and white there. Maybe it's a glass is half empty type of look. But it's true that there is Hillary Clinton. That was Hillary Clinton a few years back, attending a funeral service with essentially the same color pattern on. It was fine then. No criticism, right? Oh, because she wasn't a Trump. Larry says, liberal journalists sparked controversy over former First Lady Melania Trump wearing a black and white coat to Rosalynn Carter's funeral. It's funny how they missed the fact that Hillary Clinton wore a similar black and white coat to Barbara Bush's funeral. Diane Gottsman, an etiquette expert, and founder of the Protocol School of Texas, however, stated that Melania Trump, her outfit was appropriate for a funeral. So now we're leaning on experts to tell us what color combinations are or are not appropriate for funerals. I believe that word there is etiquette. I think I butchered it about 3 times. It doesn't matter what she does. They will always fault her, even at her funeral. Well, I also butchered that sentence. It says even at a funeral, but sure, even at her own funeral. I'm sure they'll critique what she's wearing even at her own funeral. I would not put that past them. Is nothing sacred to these people? So Democrats are criticizing Melania Trump, saying she's not treating the funeral as though it's sacred. And then Republicans are criticizing the Democrats, saying, are these funerals not sacred to them? It's kind of ironic. But if you're going to hold her to that protocol, then you have to hold Hillary Clinton and other Democrats to that protocol. And that's just not going to happen because hypocrisy is everywhere. I was wondering about the history of Melania Trump attending funerals. And so I just looked up a couple of prior funeral services which she had attended, including Ivana Trump's memorial service, which Melania Trump went to with the former president. There's a photo here. And as you can see, she was wearing either black or a very dark blue. It's hard to tell. And here. Okay, there it looks more like black or dark navy. So you're standing next to a man there. So there were some tensions, and the headline here reads, Melania Trump arrives at Ivana's memorial service with former president. Melania, who didn't always get along with Donald's first wife, entered the funeral service alongside the former president Wednesday after the pair traveled to New York City together. This is an article from last year, July 20 of last year. So it's not like she always wears gray / black and white to funerals and memorial services. I wouldn't call it a trend, but here she is with a slightly lighter shade of black. Almost has a little bit of a gray look to it. And this is at the service of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which is a bit of a different sort of service. And the Trumps were booed. It was just a political chant. We could hardly hear it. Trump brushes off protesters booing him and Melania when they paid their respects to RBG at Supreme Court on Thursday. And this article, of course, was from a few years ago, back in September of 2020. Updated later. I'm not going to read through any of this. I just wanted to show you this photo mostly of her wearing a darker shade at her funeral service. So it could be that this time around she decided she wanted to steal the spotlight a little bit more. But I'm just not willing to go so far as to take all benefit of the doubt away from her and implement the most heinous intentions of all. I'm just saying it's possible. Oh, remember when Barack Obama was criticized by many Republicans for his fashion choices? And those criticisms by Republicans were later mocked by talking heads such as Trevor Noah, who did a bit of a monologue on it. I'm not going to play this clip. I have copyright issues with his clips sometimes, but this caption of this old tweet reads, 5 years ago today, Barack Obama wore a tan suit, the biggest scandal in presidential history. That's a mocking caption there, mocking Republicans who were criticizing him. So it is kind of ridiculous to insult Barack Obama for just wearing a tan suit behind the press podium, but then to act like there's nothing to talk about when Melania Trump later wears a light shade, though not as light as tan, to an actual condolence-paying ceremony. So I'm just saying, overall, I don't really care about any of this, other than the fact that these things are interesting to hash out. It's like a look into people's minds and why they think the way they do, or if they think at all. But yeah, let's see, that was back in 2019, yeah. See the date on the tweet there, 2019. In Joe Biden's case, it could have been 1919, that's how old he is. But this article from Business Insider says, Biden wears tan suit almost exactly 7 years after right-wing media made Obama wearing one into a scandal, making it trend 7 years later. So this is a 2021 article from Business Insider, and there you see Joe Biden wearing a tan suit. I like to mix it up a bit. Shucks. If I was the president, I might be dressing more like John Fetterman, in all honesty. But then again, I'm not the president, and if I was, I'd probably act presidential. I think there's more to that than what you wear, though. So, and in case I didn't lay out the dates correctly, this old tweet from The Daily Show was 2019, but it's saying 5 years ago today, which would have been, back in 2014 when Barack Obama wore a tan suit. Then 2019, this show was produced in remembrance. There were a lot of articles published around that time, around 2019 and 2021, people talking about the anniversary of the tan suit like it was some kind of big deal. Really, it shouldn't have been a big deal in the first place. Like, who cares? So hopefully there are not going to be 5-year and 7-year anniversaries of Melania Trump wearing a gray/black and white outfit to the funeral service of Rosalynn Carter. But that's how things go. As for Trump and why he was not there, I'm not really sure. So, bit of a history of him not attending funerals. Trump did not attend John Lewis's funeral. Other major funerals. That's a link to an article from Business Insider. Speaking of Business Insider, Time Magazine here. The reason Trump won't be at McCain's funeral, John McCain. Just reading a part of the headline there. Cindy McCain says Trump wasn't invited to husband's funeral. So sometimes it's because he wasn't invited. No surprise there. Sometimes it's just because he doesn't want to be there. No surprise there either. I'm not really sure what the case is in this case. As of yesterday, you tell me if you know. Was he even invited? It'd be interesting if he was not invited, but his wife was. And at the same time, it would be interesting if they were both invited, but only she went. Like, there are many different interpretations of what that could mean, since we're all about reading too much into everything. Okay, why was Trump not invited to Philip's funeral? Because it would be disrespectful to the royal family to have that arrogant person invited, someone said. The words of random people, take them for what they're worth. Trump attends his sister's funeral and does not speak. So there's that, him attending a family member's funeral but not speaking. Donald Trump is not invited to Queen's funeral. So on and so forth. You get the point, you get the picture. He's not the biggest fan of funerals, or just the people who are attending them, or maybe it's that they aren't fans of him and therefore don't invite him, or they do and he just doesn't show up. And then is he not graceful because he doesn't show up, even with his wife? Or is he somehow brave for not going, courageous for not going, because they're all corrupt politicians and he wants to be the one who is sticking out like a sore thumb without actually being there. I think you kind of have to be with the rest of the fingers to stick out like a sore thumb. We're a gathering of former first ladies shows style and subtle differences. United, mostly, in black. Their differences were in the details. So wait, you're in one headline here celebrating differences, but also throwing a bit of underhand, maybe backhand, shade towards Melania Trump for being too different. So be different. Celebrate differences, but don't be too different. At least if you're a Republican named Trump. Keep in mind, I'm no fan of the Trumps. I'm just trying to be fair to everyone here. I'm not even going to read through this article. I have to go back to work like now, but now for my brief bit of analysis in closing. Okay, Democrats say that Melania Trump is a victim of Donald Trump because of her connection to him. But also, she's a villain because of her connection to him. Which is it? Oh, it changes depending on what's convenient. A rare appearance for her, partly because she's not usually clamoring for attention, but also she's wearing what she's wearing because she wants attention. That's according to Democrats. Which is it? Which is it? Does she not want attention or does she want attention? Democrats also say, shame if Donald Trump goes. Like, if he goes, they find a reason to criticize him, especially if he's dressed in a way that stands out, as they've criticized her. And if he doesn't go, shame on him. So, he can do no right. I'm not saying he does no wrong. He does plenty of wrong, and I call him out for it. Not a fan of the man. But he can do no right at this point, at the same time. So, should he even go? Should he even be there? You tell me. And if he did, would you, as a supporter of him, if you indeed are, would you say, good for him, way to go? I don't think so. Of course you wouldn't. You'd find a reason to celebrate him and congratulate him. So if he doesn't go, it's woohoo, good for him. If he does go, it's woohoo, good for him. If you like him, you like him. If you don't, you don't. And he probably won't. That same logic kind of applies to her. Like, you could say good for her for going, right? Especially if you're saying shame on him for not going. You should say good for her for going. But now the story has become about what she was wearing. And, there she is. But for all the wrong reasons. Okay, so if she wore black, Melania Trump that is, the story changes. Right? We're not talking about this, at least not the same way. It's potentially about her distancing herself from her husband. She's blending in with all the other Democrat politicians. She's separating herself. It is a sign of resentment towards her husband, of depression because of her husband. But because she dressed in a way that stood out, you're not hearing that. You're hearing that she is rebellious, that she is demanding attention. How to balance that out, I'm not exactly sure. Republicans are also a bit inconsistent on things. And yes, they'll say she's brave. But what about him? Is he not brave? Is he a coward for not going? Is Donald Trump a coward because he didn't go and stand with his wife? But also, one might say good for him for not going. Okay, if you're saying good for him for not going, you can't simultaneously praise her for going. Then again, I guess you can because she did it rebelliously, speculatively. So there's that. That and a bag of chips, which makes me hungry. And I didn't even eat lunch. But I have to return to work because my lunch break is now over. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. Peace.